Most people think they need a full refrigerator and a long grocery list to make real meals. But some of the cheapest dinners in my house start with almost nothing fresh at all. A can of tomatoes, a bag of rice, a few beans, some pasta, maybe an onion if I have one, and 20 minutes later, there is dinner on the table. That is why I think every kitchen needs a small group of pantry foods that can rescue you when the refrigerator is empty, money is tight, or you simply do not want another trip to the grocery store. Today, I am going to show you 18 pantry staples that can make at least 40 different inexpensive meals. These are not strange survival foods you buy once and forget about. They are everyday ingredients that work together. And near the end, I am going to show you exactly how these 18 foods connect so you can stop looking into a full pantry and saying, there is nothing to make. Let's start with the food I would probably keep if I could only choose one. Number 1, rice. Rice earns its space because it can become breakfast, lunch, dinner, a side dish, or the base of an entire meal. Plain rice can go with beans. It can go under chili. It can become fried rice. You can add tomatoes and spices and turn it into seasoned rice. You can make rice bowls with whatever vegetables or protein you have. And leftover rice may be even more useful than fresh rice because it is perfect for quick skillet meals. The important thing is to buy the plain bag, not the little microwave cups, not 5 different seasoned packets. Plain rice gives you options, and options are what make a pantry useful. From this one ingredient alone, we already have rice and beans, tomato rice, vegetable fried rice, a simple rice bowl. That is 4 meals from one staple. Number 2, dried beans. If your goal is to stretch a grocery budget, dried beans deserve serious attention. Black beans, pinto beans, navy beans, kidney beans, chickpeas, whatever your family actually eats. One bag can make soup, chili, burritos, rice bowls, bean patties, or a simple pot of seasoned beans with bread. And here is something people forget. Beans do not have to be the side dish. They can be the meal. Cook them with onion, garlic, tomatoes, and seasoning. Spoon them over rice, and you have something filling for very little money. You can even mash cooked beans with seasoning and use them inside tacos or sandwiches. If dried beans feel inconvenient, canned beans are still useful. The point is not perfection. The point is having an inexpensive protein waiting in the pantry. Number 3, lentils. Lentils deserve their own spot because they cook faster than most dried beans. No overnight soaking, no complicated process. You rinse them, simmer them, and they are ready. Lentils can become soup. They can become curry. They can be mixed with rice. They can stretch ground meat. You can even cook them with tomatoes, onion, and spices and spoon them over baked potatoes. They are especially useful during weeks when the meat budget disappears faster than expected. A pot of lentils does not look exciting in the package, but once you understand how many meals it can become, it starts looking like money sitting on the shelf. Number 4, pasta. Almost everyone keeps pasta at home, but most people use it for only one thing: spaghetti with jarred sauce. That is fine, but pasta can do much more. Cook it with tomatoes and garlic. Add beans and make a rustic pasta and bean soup. Mix it with canned tuna. Add frozen vegetables. Turn leftovers into a pasta bake. Make a simple buttered or oil-based pasta when there is almost nothing left. Pasta works because it carries whatever flavor you give it. That means the cheap ingredients around it do not feel quite as cheap. And if you have children or picky eaters in the house, pasta is often one of the easiest foods to build around. Number 5, canned tomatoes. Canned tomatoes are one of the foods that connect the whole pantry. Without them, you have rice, beans, pasta, and lentils. With them, suddenly you have chili, pasta sauce, tomato soup, rice dishes, bean stew, pizza sauce, shakshuka-style eggs if you have eggs in the refrigerator. A can of tomatoes can make plain ingredients feel like an actual recipe. I usually prefer plain diced, crushed, or whole tomatoes because you can season them however you want. Once you buy a highly flavored sauce, you are committed to that flavor. Plain tomatoes stay flexible. Number 6, oats. Oats are not only breakfast, they are one of the cheapest foods for covering the first meal of the day, but they can also stretch other dishes. Obviously, you can make oatmeal. Add cinnamon. Add peanut butter. Add dried fruit. Add banana if you have one. But oats can also go into homemade granola, baked oat bars, pancakes, or even meatballs as a binder. If your house goes through expensive boxes of cereal every week, switching even some breakfasts to oats can make a noticeable difference. And because oats stay good for a long time, they are one of those pantry foods you can always fall back on. Number 7, flour. Flour may be the most powerful ingredient on this entire list because it replaces entire product categories. Pancake mix, mostly flour plus a few basic ingredients. Biscuit mix, same idea. Pizza dough, flour. Flatbread, flour. Gravy, flour. Simple white sauce, flour. You do not need to become someone who bakes bread from scratch every morning. That would make most people quit. Instead, learn 3 things: a basic pancake batter, a simple flatbread, and one easy dough. Those 3 skills alone can turn an almost empty pantry into several meals. Number 8, cornmeal. This one gets ignored in a lot of kitchens. But cornmeal is inexpensive, shelf-stable, and surprisingly versatile. You can make cornbread, you can make simple cornmeal porridge. You can use it to coat fish or vegetables. You can make skillet cakes. And cornbread can turn a bowl of beans or soup into a meal that feels much more complete. That is what we are looking for here. Foods that make other cheap foods better. Number 9, peanut butter. Every pantry needs something you can eat immediately. Because if every cheap meal requires 40 minutes of cooking, eventually you are going to order food. Peanut butter solves that problem. Peanut butter toast, peanut butter oatmeal, peanut butter sandwiches, peanut sauce for noodles, peanut butter with crackers, a spoonful added to a smoothie if you have frozen fruit. It is shelf-stable, filling, and requires almost no preparation. That makes it an emergency food as much as a pantry staple. Number 10, canned tuna. Canned tuna gives you a protein that does not need thawing, marinating, or cooking. Open the can and you are halfway to lunch. You can make tuna sandwiches, tuna pasta, tuna rice bowls, tuna patties, tuna salad, or mix tuna with pasta, peas, and a simple sauce for an inexpensive casserole. I would not build every meal around canned tuna, but when you need something fast, it earns its shelf space. Number 11, canned chickpeas. Yes, chickpeas are beans, but I am giving them their own place because they can go in directions other beans usually do not. You can mash them for sandwiches. You can roast them for a crunchy snack. You can add them to curry. You can blend them into hummus. You can toss them with pasta. You can add them to soup or salad. One can move from lunch to snack to dinner without much effort. That kind of versatility is exactly what makes a pantry feel full, even when there are not many ingredients in it. Number 12, canned corn. Canned corn is simple, inexpensive, and useful in meals where you need a little sweetness and texture. Add it to chili, add it to rice, put it in bean bowls, use it in soup, mix it into cornbread, add it to tacos. It may not be the star of the meal, but pantry staples do not always need to be stars. Sometimes their job is simply to make the rest of the meal feel bigger and more complete. Number 13, bouillon or stock base. This is one of those tiny ingredients that makes a huge difference. Water plus rice is rice. Water plus rice, onion, seasoning, and broth becomes something that tastes like you meant to make it. Bouillon can improve soup, beans, lentils, rice, pasta dishes, gravies, and sauces. You can use homemade stock if you keep it. You can use box stock, but a shelf-stable broth base is useful because it takes almost no space, and on the nights when you are trying to make dinner from pantry ingredients, flavor matters. Because nobody wants to eat cheap food that tastes cheap. Number 14, cooking oil. One basic cooking oil can help turn the rest of the pantry into meals. You use it to sauté, to roast, to make dressing, to cook flatbread, to make a simple pasta sauce, to fry an egg if you have one, to turn flour into certain doughs. And you do not need 6 expensive bottles. For ordinary cooking, one dependable oil is enough for most households. The more specialized bottles you collect, the more money sits unused in the cabinet. Number 15, vinegar. Vinegar looks boring until you learn what acidity does to food. A spoonful can wake up beans. It can brighten soup. It can turn oil into salad dressing. It can help create marinades. It can balance rich dishes. It can even transform a cheap cabbage slaw if you have cabbage in the refrigerator. This is one of those ingredients where you use very little at a time. One bottle can support dozens of meals. Number 16, salt. This may sound too obvious to include, but salt is one of the most important pantry foods because nearly every inexpensive ingredient tastes worse when it is under-seasoned. Beans need salt. Rice needs salt. Pasta water needs salt. Soup needs salt. Vegetables need salt. A lot of people think they dislike cheap homemade food when what they really dislike is food nobody seasoned properly. You do not need to drown everything in salt. You just need enough to make the ingredients taste like themselves. Number 17, a small set of spices. Do not buy 30 spice jars because somebody on the internet told you to. Start with the ones that match how you actually eat. For many kitchens, a useful beginning might be black pepper, garlic powder, paprika, chili powder, cumin, cinnamon, and maybe one dried herb blend. With those few spices, rice and beans can taste completely different from one night to the next. Tomatoes can become pasta sauce, chili, or soup. Lentils can move toward curry, smoky stew, or something mild. Spices are what stop a small pantry from feeling repetitive. Number 18, shelf-stable milk or powdered milk. This is the one I like keeping for the day when the refrigerator is nearly empty. Shelf-stable milk or powdered milk can help with pancakes, oatmeal, sauces, baking, soups, coffee, and simple desserts. You may never use it every day. That is not the point. Its job is to be there when you need milk and do not want to make an extra grocery trip. Because sometimes the most expensive grocery purchase begins with, I only went in for milk. You go in for one thing and leave with 6 bags. A pantry backup prevents that. Now we have all 18. Rice, beans, lentils, pasta, canned tomatoes, oats, flour, cornmeal, peanut butter, tuna, chickpeas, corn, bouillon, oil, vinegar, salt, basic spices, and shelf-stable milk. But a list is not useful unless you can turn it into actual food. So let me show you what these ingredients can do. 40 cheap meals from these 18 staples. Meal 1, rice and beans. Cook rice, season beans with bouillon, cumin, garlic, and a little tomato. Serve them together. Simple, inexpensive, filling. Meal 2, tomato rice. Cook rice with canned tomatoes, broth, and spices. It works as a meal with beans or a side with whatever protein you have. Meal 3, lentil rice bowl. Cook lentils with garlic and spices. Serve them over rice with a little vinegar for brightness. Meal 4, bean chili. Beans, canned tomatoes, corn, chili powder, cumin, and broth. That is already dinner. Meal 5, lentil chili. Same basic idea, but lentils replace the beans or meat. Meal 6, pasta with tomato sauce. Canned tomatoes, oil, garlic powder, herbs, salt. You do not need a jar. Meal 7, pasta e fagioli style soup. Pasta, beans, canned tomatoes, broth, and seasoning. A pantry meal that feels much bigger than its ingredients. Meal 8, tuna pasta. Pasta, tuna, oil, seasoning, and corn if you like it. Fast enough for lunch. Meal 9, tomato lentil soup. Lentils, tomatoes, broth, spices, and water. Simmer until thick. Meal 10, bean soup. Beans, broth, tomatoes, spices, and whatever vegetables you happen to have. Meal 11, chickpea tomato stew. Chickpeas, tomatoes, broth, cumin, paprika, and garlic. Serve over rice. Meal 12, chickpea curry-style bowl. Chickpeas, tomatoes, warm spices, and shelf-stable milk if you want it creamy. Meal 13, hummus and flatbread. Blend chickpeas with oil, salt, and a little vinegar if you do not have lemon. Serve with homemade flour flatbread. Meal 14, chickpea sandwich. Filling mashed chickpeas with seasoning and a little oil. Put it on bread if you have bread, or eat it with flatbread. Meal 15, tuna patties. Tuna, oats or flour, seasoning, and enough liquid to bind. Cook them in a little oil. Meal 16, bean patties. Mash beans, add oats or flour and spices, shape them, and cook in a skillet. Meal 17, lentil patties. Same idea with cooked lentils. Meal 18, cornmeal porridge. Cornmeal, shelf-stable milk or water, cinnamon, and a little sweetener if you keep one. A cheap breakfast. Meal 19, oatmeal with peanut butter. Oats, water or milk, peanut butter, cinnamon. Fast and filling. Meal 20, savory oats. Cook oats with broth instead of sweetening them. Add spices, beans, or leftover vegetables. Meal 21, peanut butter oat cakes. Oats, peanut butter, a little flour, liquid, and whatever basic baking ingredients you keep. Meal 22, pancakes. Flour, shelf-stable milk, and your usual basic pancake ingredients. Meal 23, flatbread. Flour, water, oil, and salt. Cook it in a skillet. Meal 24, simple pizza. Make dough with flour. Use canned tomatoes as sauce. Top it with whatever you have available. Meal 25, cornbread and beans. A bowl of seasoned beans beside warm cornbread turns two basic pantry foods into a complete comfort meal. Meal 26, cornmeal cakes. Cornmeal, water or milk, salt, cooked into simple skillet cakes. Meal 27, tuna rice bowl. Rice, tuna, corn, oil, vinegar, and seasoning. Meal 28, chickpea rice bowl. Rice, chickpeas, tomatoes, spices. Very little effort. Meal 29, bean and corn rice bowl. Rice topped with beans, corn, tomatoes, and seasoning. Meal 30, lentil pasta sauce. Cook lentils into canned tomatoes and spoon the thick sauce over pasta. It stretches pasta sauce while adding protein. Meal 31, Pantry Minestrone. Beans, pasta, tomatoes, broth, and whatever vegetables are left in the house. Meal 32. Spicy tomato soup. Tomatoes, broth, spices, and shelf-stable milk for creaminess if you like. Meal 33. Chickpea soup. Chickpeas, broth, tomatoes, and spices. Mash some of the chickpeas to thicken it. Meal 34. Peanut noodles. Pasta mixed with peanut butter, vinegar, warm water, and seasoning. Very simple. Meal 35. Chili rice. Put leftover chili over rice. The next day's lunch is already done. Meal 36. Chili flatbread. Serve leftover chili with homemade flatbread instead of rice. Same food, completely different meal. Meal 37. Tomato bean pasta. Mix beans directly into a tomato pasta sauce. It stretches the meal and adds protein. Meal 38. Corn and bean soup. Beans, corn, tomatoes, broth, and spices. One pot, almost no preparation. Meal 39. Savory cornmeal bowl. Cook cornmeal until creamy. Top it with beans and tomato sauce. Meal 40. The end of the month pantry pot. This is the meal that proves why the system works. Take whatever is left. Maybe rice, maybe lentils, maybe half a can of tomatoes, some corn, a few beans, add broth and spices. Cook it until it becomes soup, stew, or a rice bowl. It does not need a fancy name. It needs to feed you. And that is really the point of this entire list. A useful pantry is not supposed to impress anyone. It is supposed to protect you from expensive weeks. It is supposed to help when the refrigerator is empty. It is supposed to give you an answer when you are tired and hungry. And the biggest mistake people make is buying pantry foods individually instead of buying them as a system. They buy pasta but nothing to make sauce. They buy beans but have no rice. They buy flour but never learn one simple thing to make with it. Then the cabinet is technically full, but none of it connects. Here is how I would fix that. Before you buy a pantry item, ask, what are 3 meals this can become with ingredients I already have? Rice easily passes that test. Beans pass, tomatoes pass, flour passes, oats pass. If an item only belongs to one recipe that you make twice a year, it probably does not deserve to be one of your core staples. And do not try to buy all 18 foods tomorrow if you do not already use them. Start with 6. Rice, beans, pasta, canned tomatoes, oats, flour. Learn what you can make from those. Then add a few more. Lentils, peanut butter, tuna, corn, broth, spices. Eventually, you stop seeing individual ingredients. You start seeing meals. That is when the pantry becomes useful. You look at rice and do not see rice. You see fried rice, bean bowls, tomato rice, and soup. You look at flour and see pancakes, flatbread, pizza, and sauce. You look at canned tomatoes and see chili, pasta, soup, and stew. And suddenly the sentence, "there is nothing to eat," becomes much harder to say. So those are the 18 pantry staples I would build around. Rice, dried beans, lentils, pasta, canned tomatoes, oats, flour, cornmeal, peanut butter, tuna, chickpeas, corn, bouillon, cooking oil, vinegar, salt, basic spices, and shelf-stable milk. You do not need every possible ingredient. You need enough flexible ingredients that each one connects to several others. That is how a small pantry can produce 40 meals instead of 40 forgotten packages. Tell me in the comments, what pantry food do you refuse to run out of? And which item sits in your cabinet for months because you never know what to do with it? I want to know. And if you enjoy practical grocery ideas like this, subscribe, because next I want to show you the 15 foods I would buy first if I had to rebuild an empty kitchen on a tight budget.